I recently found myself in the Daily Mail, which is a newspaper, a famous newspaper here in the UK. And I woke up one morning to my mother and my father messaging me on WhatsApp saying, oh, all of my neighbors and friends and people are sending this to me. And I opened up this article, and it was an article about me regarding a video that I'd recently made about leaving Dubai. And on this article were comments. Now, I have a habit of not reading my comments. I run ads, I don't read the comments. I make YouTube videos, I don't read the comments. I have to make Instagram posts, I don't read the comments. And I've always had the habit of not looking. But on this instance, I forgot that I wasn't supposed to read the comments, because usually the comments aren't very nice. And I went to the comment section of this article, and I was a little bit disheartened, because as you can imagine, some 26, 27-year-old dude making millions of dollars and dodging tax usually doesn't bode very well with the average working class middle-aged person that would read the newspaper in the UK. And so I'm scrolling through these comments, and I start to feel a bit of weight in my stomach, bit of a pit, thinking like, oh, these people really don't like me, and maybe I'm not doing the right thing. And then I caught it. And I realized this is why I don't read comments in the first place. But I had an idea, and I had a thought that I think will help you a lot. And this is how to deal with hate, anger, jealousy, judgment. Basically, as you try to become successful, whether that is in a career, or you're trying to get rich, or just as you're trying to improve yourself, people are going to take shots at you, and you're going to incur judgment from other people. You're going to incite jealousy. People are going to tell you that you shouldn't be doing what you're doing. And this is a pretty unpleasant thing to feel. And how do we overcome this fear? Because most people are completely crippled by the opinions of others and the opinions of people around them. And so in this video, I'm going to walk you through how I did this, and how I'm able to make videos and talk about my life and my personal experiences online with little to no fear of judgment or hate or anything like that. And once you get good at this, you become completely numb to people's opinions that you don't know, and that it just kind of fades into nothing. It's almost like you're reading comments about somebody else. So let's just say, for argument's sake, that this is you. You're this stick man, and you want to level up and become successful as marked by these trajectories on this arrow. You want to move towards your goal, right? Which is this. As you do this, people are going to observe you doing this. There's going to be people, friends, family members, people at school, teachers, parents, whatever the hell, and they're going to be watching you and watching your every move, because that's what people like to do, is they like to watch. And all of these people are going to be wishing that you fail. Not because they want the worst for you, and not everyone will, right? So some of your close friends and family won't want you to fail, but a lot of these people are going to be betting on you failing, and they're going to want you to lose. All the people, they want to be able to say, I told you so. And the reason isn't because they're bad people, or isn't because they're lacking morals, or because they're evil. It's simply because they don't want their paradigm and belief systems broken. Because if you can do it and they haven't, then that fundamentally means there's something wrong with them. And so they'd rather live this safe delusion, this little lie that it's just impossible to become successful. So when you succeed and when you start making progress, it's kind of like their unconscious radar of reality starts beeping and warning them that something's not quite right. And then they just basically say that you got lucky. And so how do we deal with these people, judging or hating or anything like that? And also what's going to happen as you try to become successful is you're going to have to deal with rejection. You're going to have to deal with all sorts of crap when it comes to trying to get customers, and you're going to be judged, and it's not fun. So here's how this works. When we have an identity, we risk having an ego, which is basically the part of us that gets triggered. And if this stick man represents you in your purest form, what we can draw around you is a little ring. And this little ring is perception. Okay? Now, no one knows you like you know you. You have people who are close to you, like your mother, your father, your best friends or whatever, and they know you on a level that's incredibly deep, and they know the intricacies of your character and value systems and your belief systems and how you align yourself with the world. But when I'm reading comments in the Daily Mail about myself, people who are observing me and making these comments and making judgments about me are seeing their perception of me, not me. So in your life, you've got two types of people. You've got people on the inside of your perception sphere, and you've got people on the outside of your perception sphere. So the people on the inside could be like your mum, could be your dad, it could be your best friend, it could be your girlfriend or your wife, it could be your kids. These are people that truly know you. And the reason that these people are so close to you is because you do not fear their judgment. You're not afraid to be yourself around them. You love them, they love you, you understand them, they understand you, and you're not necessarily afraid of what they think. For example, if I was hanging out with my brother, I would make jokes and I would be completely different with him and my best friends than I would be on camera to hundreds of thousands of people. You're not seeing the real true version of me right now. You're seeing my perception dome, which is the safety net that I'm creating around myself, so that when you judge me or when you write a nasty comment or when someone hates me, they don't hate me, they hate an image that I've projected. You're seeing me, you're seeing my identity and my face and my body and my voice and my opinions, but you're seeing a side of me that I'm numb to. And if you judge me, you're judging this part of me, not me. It's like a little shield. Now, I'm as authentic as I can possibly be on YouTube here, and I have no desire to wear a mask and hide parts of myself. But Jung, who was a clinical psychologist, I think he's a Swiss, Austrian or Swiss psychiatrist in the 1800s, 1900s, whatever, he believed that what we do is, in society, we wear a mask. And the idea of wearing a mask is when you interact with people, they don't see you, they see the version of you that you want them to see. And we do this for all sorts of reasons, in social context and in romantic context as well. And the reason we do it is ultimately to protect ourselves. But what Jung thought, and what's really smart, and this is a brilliant idea, is it's not about what we show people. It's not about creating things about ourselves that people see that they judge us for. It's about what we don't show them. So when it comes to building a perception dome or creating an image of yourself, what you're doing is you're choosing what not to show people. So there's parts of me and there's parts of my identity and psyche that I'm not revealing to you because the context of this video is sensitive insofar as that I don't need hundreds of thousands of people to know things about me that are very deep and that matter to me. Because maybe there's only 10 people on the planet, being my family and closest friends, that deeply understand me and exactly what I'm like. You might think you know me. Let's say you've been watching me for a year or two. You might think you know who I am and what I am, but what I've been doing unconsciously is inhibiting the release of certain parts of my character. And people are very deep. And so what happens online is, what we do online is, whether it's online or on a TV show. So if you're on if I went like a talk show or something, you'd only see the parts of me that I would want you to see. And I'm not like engineering this consciously. Anyway, here's the point. So you have your perception dome and you create this. And what I realized when I was reading these comments in the Daily Mail, and I was reading these judgments and these hate comments and stuff, what I realized is people aren't judging me, they're judging their perception of me. And that's a really big thing, because what they're seeing as me is a 1,000 word article about my lifestyle in Dubai and me evading tax. So their entire paradigm and perception of Charlie Morgan is tax evasion, luxury lifestyle, moaning about being really wealthy and living in a rich country, and those things. I am complex in the same way that you are, insofar as that there are thousands of intricacies and nooks and crannies to my personality, my identity, and my character that someone would have to really get to grips with for years on end to truly understand me, so they can actually judge me. If I make a video like this, and it's a 10-minute long video ranting about a certain topic, for example, then if someone decides to judge that or hate that, what they're doing is they're hating a tiny portion of me that isn't even really me. It's just like a little thing that I've released, if that makes sense. And so when someone judges me or writes a nasty comment, what they're doing is they're basically just judging their perception of me, not me. Because that might be hard to understand and hard to imagine, but you are not the perception that people have of you. You're not. Like, think about this for a second right now. Let's say that you have a boss. Okay, you have someone you work for. Does that person see you for you? When you go to your office and when you're around your boss, are you completely yourself in the same way that you would be around your closest friends and, you know, your family and the people that you love? Are you as stupid and goofy and silly and funny and unserious and ridiculous and, you know, whatever the hell, right? You know, maybe you tell really bad jokes that you would never say around your boss, but that's a part of you that you hide from your boss because you don't want your boss to judge you for it, but you wouldn't be afraid to do it around your best friend, right? And so when your boss judges you, they're judging the employee version of you that you've created for them to deal with. And so that's why, you know, it's easy to disregard criticism from authority because you know they're not really seeing you. The same thing is true when you try to build any sort of presence online or when you try and do anything online ever. Like, you're going to get hate and you're going to get nastiness. And the cool thing to understand about hate and about judgment is it's not real. Like, if let's say that the average, let's say, you know, in this article, I'll give you this example. There was a comment from some dude about how I'm like a scammer and how I'm like, you know, ripping people off for money and doing all sorts of negative things and lying about money and like being an arse or whatever, right? Apparently I was just this evil state of like Charles Burns off The Simpsons sort of stuff, like ripping off poor people and stuff. And, you know, that guy formed that opinion and that belief system from this article, which is fine and whatever the hell. But all he's really doing is projecting his insecurities and his self-inner judgments onto me. And so judgment is very much like a mirror insofar as that what you fear is what you cast over other people. And so if I'm afraid, for example, of being judged for my clothing, and I every time I go outside, I'm like, oh, I'm really worried that someone's going to judge me for this top or these shoes. The only reason that I'm afraid of that judgment is because I've spent a lot of time judging other people for their clothes. Because the brain doesn't morally consciously understand judgment. The only way it can understand whether or not to fear judgment is whether or not it judges someone itself, if that makes sense. There's no other way that your brain can comprehend judgment. It has to go out before it comes in. And so with this guy, for example, if he's judging me for being a scammer and lying about money and everything, then I know that he's going to go through his world and his universe being terrified of being seen as a scammer and being seen as someone who's lying about making money and being a business person. What that basically does is it locks that behavior to him, because you cannot behave out of alignment with what you're afraid to be judged for. And I see this in girls especially, you know, in women and young women in their like, you know, teenage years or like late 20s, like as I was growing up through school and stuff. Is, you know, girls can be incredibly judgmental for a myriad of reasons, as well as guys can be, right? But the example I'm going to give you here is like girls can get very judgmental about you know, who's like like basically gossip and stuff like that. And, you know, girls talk behind each other's backs and like they get all gossipy and stuff, and then they basically live in constant fear that someone's talking behind their back. And the only way you know to fear that is if you do it yourself. In the same way that if I receive a cold call and I pick up the phone and someone cold calls me and I judge that person for cold calling me and I'm like, oh, you're a scammer, you're wasting my time, then what that means is that if I start a business, I cannot make cold calls, because what I'm going to do is take my statement of judgment, my statement of judgment, which is this cold call is an asshole, and I'm going to project that onto every other person. And so when you're thinking about the expectations of perception and behavior from people, what you do is you use yourself as your only point of reference to understand how people are going to deal with you when you act a certain way. And so if I judge you for cold calling me, that means if I cold call somebody else, I'm going to think they're going to judge me, because that's how that's basically the perception that my brain has associated the action with, if that makes sense. And so if you want to make progress in life and business and you want to make money and build a career, you're going to have to upset some people, and you're going to have to accept that, first of all, when they judge you and when you make them angry, they're angry at you or they're judging you for your dome of perception, which is the part of you that isn't even you that you've constructed. So they're not even judging you. They're just judging like this sort of brick wall personality that they think you are. And they become very convinced that that is what you are. So this person who's judging you will think like that is exactly what he is and I'm judging him for that. But you're way deeper than that. You know, and I know, for example, that there's a lot more to me than just some random Daily Mail article. You know, but people, they don't really see it like this. And if you do judge people, then you will in turn be judged. And this is written in the Bible, it's written in the Quran, it's been like a piece of knowledge since the beginning of time, basically. That's kind of almost a cliche at this point. But it's crucial to your success that you reserve judgment, because otherwise you're going to be constantly afraid of it. So those are the two things I want to discuss. Quick note, if you are a agency owner, coach, consultant, or course seller, or you've got some B2B service that you sell, if you need help getting more clients, then there's a link in the description you can click. We basically can help you with client acquisition. You probably don't care for it, and you might not want to click, so if you don't, that's absolutely fine. But if you do, then you can always do that and get some more clients if you need them. Take care. Ciao.